Watch where you go! Look at me! Fuck! Yakuza! Venting, purifying.